Mr. Rajiv Agrawal, Joint Secretary, DIPP, and Controller General of Patents and Design and Trademarks. Mr. Cellini, Trade Section, Delegation of EU to India. Mr. Francois Hanart, Principal Director, European International Cooperation, European Patent Office. Mr. Paul Jensen, Director, European Business and Technology Center. Mr. Saha, my colleague from CII, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning to each one of you. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this conference on collaboration with Europe Businesses and Technology Center and the conference which is hosted by CII and European Patent Office. Just last week, I was called upon to be a jury in a contest which was of the technology startups by Google, which CII collaborated with to select one of the good SMEs who have been using technology. And I was surprised to see that when we went pan-India, there were large amount of startups even in the tier 2 cities. I think this makes it clear that we as India also, although we may be still in many parts an agrarian economy, we are moving towards being a knowledge economy in the near future. Obviously, there's a lot to be covered, but we are very much pointed in that direction. And I was very encouraged to see so many entrepreneurs from the second-tier cities leveraging technology to build their businesses. Overall, too, we are probably in a very defining era, an era which constitutes of technology, knowledge and innovation. And that is going to be driving a lot of us in the economic space and the business space in very short term and of course long term. Added to this is the global cooperation. One starts to optimize even the societal issues around this. Recently, just yesterday, I saw that around 2,000 people are getting together as a knowledge conference from Iran in Berlin. Now that's the sense that even preempting the opening of Iran, the 2,000 group is already there in Berlin talking about technology and how technology and how the cooperation can happen. As India looks at the future to be a knowledge economy, we have two anchors which we need to address, and they are sustainability and inclusivity. They are very essential for our economic existence. And as we all know, that growth today cannot be taken for granted. There was some time that growth was happening by default, but today even the developed nations need to strive for it, and each one of them need to strive to create jobs, and we are very much in that space. However, we have a visionary Prime Minister who has given two very enabling mission mode kind of a program, which is one is Make in India and the other being Digital India. I've had the opportunity to associate with Mr. Kant on various occasions on launching these programs around the globe. And this is being championed in a way that more and more cooperation happens. It is definitely not something which is protective. It is something which is collaborative, and we need the collaboration from every part of the world, specifically in knowledge, innovation, and I will add the third pillar, which is the IPR. And we need to consider it as one, as a strategic intent. We make a mistake when we start isolating IPR and not talking about IPR in conjunction with knowledge and innovation and technology. I think that is the call of the day. And if we set up an ecosystem which is conducive to this, taking care of all these three pillars, then we'll unleash the entrepreneur possibilities and the spirit in India, which I saw in a small exposure at this Google conference. So thus, it becomes an imperative for all of us that the confluence of innovation technology and IP management is something is not good to have, it's a must for us. I think today there's an accelerated way the technology is moving and advancing in terms of patent activities. If we see the graph of YPO, which has been just published, I mean, there is the way the patents are being filed are huge. I'm not talking about the quality, just the quantity of them. And according to the technology which becomes more and more pervasive across sectors, and not only in pharma and some key sectors around the globe, each one is becoming important. Right from the width is as much as from banking to healthcare to tech-enabled fundamental changes of value propositions. The business models and supply chain models will have to respond to it, these changes. It's become so pervasive that it is specific to note that in the recently published report on the 7 disruptive technologies, which builds on the 2013 report of Goldman Sachs, it spans huge amount of sectors. And obviously, one of the key sectors is also autos, from which our company operates in. In this new era, United States, which recently led a number of patent filings, and now it's been overtaken by China, has experienced a fundamental shift in how IP needs to be managed and monetized. Two trademark pieces of legislation, the American Invents Act and the Innovation Act, will absolutely change the horizon of how the corporates and how we look at technologies and how we look at the IPR manner. The convergence of these two forces, technology acceleration and patent form, has created an urgent need for each and every business to look at their IP strategy, and like I said, they need to bundle it as one rather than just looking at, as silos in one. So many companies are now beginning to raise the urgency of innovation management. And I was just discussing that how can CII participate in making this drive more intense than what we already do. Given the space of technological change, the impact across industries and sectors, there's a new paradigm in the model of innovation, such as open collaboration innovation. And I'm not talking about purely open sources. There's a huge amount of collaboration, and you can recently see a case of 10-year broad patent across licensing deal, which recently was signed between Google and Samsung. Patents may continue to increase, but the manner in which they are utilized and deployed are likely to evolve to accommodate the dynamism of the market space. Of course, the issues of open sourcing software, which are prevalent and also getting more and more popular, is a phenomena which also needs to be discussed, because it also has a great benefit in terms of optimizing and making it more and more effective when a lot of participants are there in the open source. Popular analysis shows that 1% change in the strength in a country's IP rights environment is associated to 2.8 increase in the FDI flow. Now, if that's the way this statistics is there, I think we need to tighten our belts in numerous sides. And Indo-EU cooperation would also entail, to my mind, developing a common principle framework for conditions to leverage this large value extraction of the partnership around this technology. Again, I stress technology, innovation, IPR as a bundle. We have a task cut out for ourselves as the apex chamber in CII, although as CII, we have recognized this IP issues long back, and we have Mr. Saha, who is the expert in many ways, who will be also addressing us in a while. And the goal has been to make our companies aware and make our people aware, specifically who are in the technology space. And we are proliferating down to the state level, and also facilitating IP centers. Recently that's been done in Hyderabad, then in Chennai, Indore, Mysore, and Gandhinagar. Now this is something to facilitate members, even small members, because small members are also using technologies, and I think they are innovating the space in a much rapid way than the large companies. I am also privileged to inform you that CII is offering an online course on IPR under the aegis of CII IP Education Initiative. And this too is something of a milestone we consider to bring a larger and a wider awareness of these issues and how they can be leveraged to the benefit and not to something which will make you contract your business. CII has been committed to enhance this awareness, and we are very happy to collaborate today with EU and its entities, and we can always take it forward in many ways. I think this underlines even the commitment of the government, where we have the Joint Secretary from DIPP who's been addressing these needs. And once again, I really welcome you to this wonderful historic occasion where we can be able to discuss and deliberate on some of the issues on a more technical level in the subsequent sessions. Now, I have the honor to now invite Mr. Jensen, Director, European Business Technology, to address us. Mr. Jensen.